Austin Dillon wins, but it doesn't come without controversy. Drivers and fans had a lot to say about how he won, so let's break it all down. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, Austin Dillon wins the race, the 5th of his career. It takes him from 32nd to 26th in season-long points, and more importantly, locks him into the playoffs. But like I said at the top of this one, it wasn't without controversy, because to do it, he made contact with the 22 and the 11. So let's start there and break it all down, because that's going to be the majority of the video, because that's what the majority of people want to talk about right now. So, first things first, Austin Dillon had a great car. That last segment, at least the last 100 laps or so, Austin Dillon had the fastest car on the racetrack. He went out there and he showed it. He went out and got the lead, and he had a 2-second lead on everybody when, inexplicably, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Ryan Preece, who were not contending to win the race, to put it lightly, for whatever reason, I don't know what was going on there. I don't know what the thought process was with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. or Ryan Preece in that particular situation, but we'll focus on Stenhouse here, because he seems to be shouldering the vast majority of the blame. He sends it in there and takes out Ryan Preece and sets up essentially a green-white checkered caution. Now, I've seen a lot of back and forth both ways with the Ricky Stenhouse deal. A lot of people saying he's just doing typical Ricky Stenhouse stuff, bringing out a Ricky Stenhouse caution. There's also the let's put on our tinfoil hats and say, hey, guess what? He doesn't like RCR because of things that happened earlier in the season with Kyle Busch, and he didn't want Austin Dillon to win, so he decided to bring a caution out on purpose. Now, I can't get inside of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s head. I can't know what his motivations were or were not in that situation, but it is an interesting theory to throw out there. And as far as conspiracy theories go, you can make an argument for it, and that's what makes conspiracy theories fun. So we'll throw that out there first. And I wanted to throw that out there first because a lot of people are going to forget what set this up, and a lot of people are going to forget that Austin Dillon did have a 2-second lead. And to me, this is going to play a large role into what happens unfolding afterwards. So don't forget that Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 2 lap-down cars, and Ryan Preece, fighting for whatever they were fighting for, brought out the caution that set up all of this drama that ensued. Next. So from that, the RCR team does its job on pit road. They get Austin Dillon back out there front. He has the choice. He picks the low groove, and the race starts. Joey Logano gets the advantage on the restart. He has the lead, and then Austin Dillon goes in there on the last lap in turn 3, makes contact with the rear end of Joey Logano, sends it in there. He's obviously trying to get him up out of the way. Whether he was trying to wreck him or not, that's anybody's guess, but I would say from the contact, he probably didn't care one way or the other. You can definitely say that at the very least. So Austin Dillon wrecks Joey Logano to get the lead, but while he's doing that, Denny Hamlin slides up underneath of him and gets in front of him, and then depending on who you ask, and we're going to look at the footage here in just a minute, Austin Dillon either right hooks Denny Hamlin, but some people are also making the case that Denny Hamlin came up, and there are some people in the middle saying that they both were going for the same spot at the same time, and it ended up like it ended up. Either way, bang bang, it happens. Denny Hamlin goes into the wall. Austin Dillon gets the win. And if you're watching it live and in real time, it looks like Austin Dillon just kamikazes Joey Logano and then he right hooks Denny Hamlin. But like I said, we're going to look at that replay here in just a minute, and you can make your own decision on it, because I think a lot of people, myself included, when I was doing the live stream, were going off of what we just saw live, bang bang as it was happening, and bang bang as it was happening, it looked a certain way. So we've got this in-car video from Dylan Conley on X, formerly known as Twitter. And you can see here, if you look at the white line where Austin Dillon's at, you can see that he doesn't seem to move too far off of that white line after avoiding Joey Logano. So from that angle, it looks like he tried to at least hold his line right there. But we have another angle right here. This one from Luke Smith on X, formerly known as Twitter. And you see in this one, from a different angle, that Austin Dillon doesn't necessarily come down as much as you would think, because Denny Hamlin is also coming up. So from these two perspectives, you can make the argument that Austin Dillon was trying to hold his racing line and that Denny Hamlin came up, or that they were both going for the same piece of real estate. And I think if you just look at the video, that's definitely going to be the thing you take. From my takeaway, once I saw the replay, I was like, it actually ended up just being a racing incident. Dillon comes down trying to avoid Logano and then kind of holds his line from there. Denny Hamlin thinks he's got him cleared and comes up. However, there are a lot of people that definitely disagree with that. And they're looking at it from the bang-bang perspective of it looked like Dillon right-hooked him when you were watching it live because of the angle that the TV had. And also what they're going to cling to, regardless of this slow-motion footage or whatever I think about it, they're going to cling to the fact that, according to Matt Weaver, Austin Dillon's spotter said, wreck him, wreck him, wreck him. Now, we don't know if that was actual audio from the 3-car or, as Richard Childress said in a press conference, was it doctored audio? I don't know. But we know that Matt Weaver has that audio. Where he got it from, you'll have to ask Matt Weaver. And that's just the way it's going to be throughout this video. There's going to be people on both sides that see it one way or the other. Like I said, there's going to be the Denny Hamlin side that sees it this way. There's going to be the Austin Dillon side that sees it this way. And there's going to be no meeting in the middle. And both sides, I feel like, have valid points. But let's continue. So from Joey Logano's perspective, he was definitely really angry. There was an incident on pit road where he came and did a burnout in front of the 3 crew. There were wives there with their children, including Austin Dillon's wife. So he's probably going to be looking at a little bit lighter in the wallet because he did something on pit road with people down there. NASCAR officials talked to him after the race. But then, in the midst of that, obviously he was still angry. He gets out of the car, does his interview, and says basically that Austin Dillon, well, he takes a shot at Austin Dillon's family and his faith. Then later on, he says that Austin Dillon has sucked his whole career, basically things like that. So Joey Logano, super big mad. And you can understand from Joey Logano's perspective, you would be super big mad. You thought you had this race won. The guy moved you out of the way, plowed into you to get the win, and you ended up with a poor finish where you thought you were going to have a win here. From that perspective, I think anybody getting out of that race car would definitely be mad. My problem with this is I don't think Joey Logano is necessarily going to be the most sympathetic character for this because most NASCAR fans think that Joey Logano also drives very aggressively in the same manner that Austin Dillon drove here as well. And before we even get into it, there's been also a debate about the bump and run and this and that and the other thing. So let me address that right here and right now. And here's the way I look at it. Did Austin Dillon run into Joey Logano and move him out of the way? Absolutely, yes, he did. Has Joey Logano run into people in the past to do the same thing? Yes, absolutely. There are people that are trying to throw shades of gray in there. Well, Joey Logano's never run all the way through somebody to win and things like that. I don't even need to get into that argument because here is the point that I want to make with that. If I go out and take my fist and go on somebody else, right? Guess what? The county Mounties are going to take me and put me in adult timeout, right? If I go out there and hit somebody twice doing the exact same thing, what if I use both hands? I hit them both times, right? They're going to do the exact same thing, and either way, I'm going to get the exact same charge, right? I'm going to spend most likely the exact same amount of time in prison, whether I hit them once or whether I hit them twice, right? So in both instances, I have broken the rules and I have to be punished for it, right? So from that analogy, take it to the racetrack. Joey Logano has moved people out of the way to win races. Austin Dillon moved somebody out of the way to win a race. It's the same crime. If you want to throw shades of gray as to which one was more severe, feel free to throw shades of gray as to which one was more severe. But it is, at the end of the day, the same crime. So I don't think that if you even look at it as a crime, which I'll get to in just a minute, I just don't think that Joey Logano is going to be the most sympathetic character, nor will probably Denny Hamlin. Because we've seen in the past, Denny Hamlin has moved people out of the way to win races as well. Like I said, whether you agree with it, don't agree with it, it is what it is. I just don't think either one of these guys is going to be the sympathetic messenger here that you want to get people feeling super bad about what Austin Dillon did. There's a lot of people that are mad about what Austin Dillon did, but like I said, in the past, there's been a lot of people mad at Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin for what they did. So that comes with the territory when you win a race like that. However, there is another contingent of fans who said basically this: they gained a lot of respect for Austin Dillon because of what he did. He did what he had to do to get into the playoffs, and they would have done the same thing in that situation. And that's kind of where I want to jump off on this next topic. And that is, for every NASCAR fan that wants to pull for Martin Truex Jr. and Mark Martin, there is also a NASCAR fan that grew up watching this guy right here, the 3-car, bump, run, move people out of the way to get wins. And like I said, you can throw shades of gray into it all you want to over which one was more egregious. At the end of the day, they moved people to get wins. So for those fans, not only did they gain a lot of appreciation for Austin Dillon for doing what he had to do to win the race, Also, what actually is probably helping him is there are a lot of fans that just don't like Joey Logano and just don't like Denny Hamlin, so let's call it like it is. They were happy to see those two guys get wrecked if anybody was going to get wrecked and somebody else win the race. And to sort of further illustrate my point here, I did put the poll question up. We got 272 votes in an hour and a half, so thank you very much for everybody that joined me on the live stream and voted here. But here were the options, and here was the question. Was Austin Dillon's move fair or foul? Foul, but I understand, 27%. Fair, I would have done the same thing, 27%. I blame NASCAR, 25%, which we're going to get into next. That's the next point. Or, if not for the 11 and 22, I would say foul. So if you look at those percentages there, 27, 25, and 18, those are pretty even ratios for those votes there. And like I said, pretty good sample size. And that's what I'm saying. There are, for every just about fan that is upset with the move, there is another fan that at least understands why Austin Dillon did what he did. In fact, in Denny Hamlin's interview, he said, I understand why he did what he did. It makes complete sense from his perspective, and I'm not going to throw stones in a glass house. Denny Hamlin had some awareness that he has done things similar in the past, so he did have some awareness there and made a good point that from Austin Dillon's perspective, he understood. And that's where I want to go with this now. The big issue that probably is going to get dodged, like a lot of people aren't going to talk about Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a lot of people also probably aren't going to talk about this. This is NASCAR's fault. You can blame Austin Dillon. You can blame the messenger all you want to. He's the one that did it. If you want to go back to 2018, you can blame Joey Logano when he took out Martin Truex Jr., or 2015. I'm not great with years, but somewhere in there, whenever Logano won his first one. However you want to break it down and look at it. But at the end of the day, this falls squarely on NASCAR. NASCAR's point system rewards winning at all costs. And to compound that even further, the green-white checkers takes an already desperate situation and makes it worse. So when you have a guy that was currently, at that time, 32nd in points, 26th in points now for all the people that are like, oh, I don't want the man 32nd in points, they need to put the rule back. Well, he's 26th in points, so he would still qualify. He's above 30 because that was, I guess, the old rule. But in that situation, you understand, at least, even if you don't agree with it, you still understand why he did what he did, and it's because of NASCAR's point system. And that alone is why people are so spun out about this. They're going to put all the blame on Austin Dillon if they disagree with it, but really at the end of the day, they're mad about the point system. Because even the most stringent defenders of this playoff system will say things, and they're right. They have absolutely good points. It creates excitement. It creates drama. It gets views. Look at us right now. We're talking about this. This is probably the biggest NASCAR moment since Ross Chastain rode the wall, right? This is probably the most traction NASCAR's had since that particular event. So from that perspective, they are absolutely right, and they will sit there and tell you that the old systems they didn't like because you had the winner figured out 2 weeks before, sometimes 2 weeks before the season was out. You already knew who was going to win the championship, and that is a fair criticism too. However, it is also a fair criticism to say you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you're going to have that criticism about season-long meritocracy type of point systems, you also have to accept the criticism because nothing in life is perfect. Like I said, can't have your cake and eat it too. Nothing in life is perfect. So you're also going to have situations like this. So if you have ever defended this playoff point system, don't complain that the drivers are driving like this now, because that is what this point system is all about. NASCAR got exactly what it wanted. It got a bunch of drama because it went away from a meritocracy to this win at all costs system, and it doesn't matter if you had a good season or not. So we can either go back to having a meritocracy where the championship is just season-long points, or the old chase system where you just qualify for it, and then however many points you accumulate in the last 10 races. Either way, I think both of those are good meritocracy type of ways to do it. And nothing against this particular playoff system, but it's not nearly as close to a meritocracy as those other systems were, because there's so much chance involved. You could have the best season but have 3 bad races, and then all of a sudden you're not even going to get a sniff of the next round, much less the championship round. And for my 2 cents, that's what all of this hubbub, what all of this controversy, what all of this drama is all about. All of this back and forth bickering and arguing on Twitter, that's 100% what it is all about. People that are upset that Austin Dillon exposed a huge weakness, probably the biggest weakness in this particular playoff system. So you can be mad at Austin Dillon all you want to. He did what he was supposed to do. He did what was right by his team. And at the end of the day, don't be mad at him. Be mad at the system if you want to be mad at anything. Don't let NASCAR off the hook. You can be mad at Austin Dillon actually all you want to, but also don't forget to not to let NASCAR off the hook for this playoff system. Now, I'm not saying get rid of the playoff system, but we can at least amend it to make it more of a meritocracy so we don't have this absolute insanity that we had at the end of this race. And just one more thing of note, I like aggressive drivers, so I have no problem with what Austin Dillon did. I have no problem with what Joey Logano did. I have no problem with what Denny Hamlin has done. Ross Chastain, you name it. Dale Earnhardt Sr., you name them. You want to go down the line, I have no problem with drivers that drive like that. In fact, I absolutely love it because it adds excitement to the sport. And I also have no problem with drivers like Mark Martin, Matt Kenseth, Martin Truex Jr. You have to have both of those types of drivers because you have to have good guys and bad guys to pull for. It makes the sport more entertaining to watch. So I appreciate both styles, and I have no problem with how any of these drivers drive. All right, so there were other drivers on the racetrack, and behind Austin Dillon and Denny Hamlin, who was credited with second, as you're seeing here, there was a lot more that happened there. But Austin Dillon, big win for him, good win. RCR needed that momentum, so good win for him and his team doing what he had to do. Denny Hamlin, good finish, not the finish he wanted, but that second place. Tyler Reddick, with his third place finish, moves up into second in points. We're going to look at points here in just a minute. Good finish here for Bubba Wallace as well. He continues his rally, and he is now the last man in. Like I said, we're going to look at those points here in just a minute. Ross Chastain finishing in 5th place, which is also big for him points-wide. Then you got Seabell finishing in 6th place. That man, that miscue on pit road really cost him. Kyle Larson, he was sort of... you didn't hear about him much today, but he salvages a 7th out of this. Carson Hocevar with his second top 10 of the season in 8th place. Chase Elliott, also didn't hear much from him all day, but finishes in 9th in that good-looking Coca-Cola scheme. And Daniel Suarez, the most interesting man of the day with all those crazy strategies, he ends up in 10th. Ryan Blaney 11th. Kyle Busch with a nice 12th, a good rebound from his previous weekends of not having good finishes. He really had to fight for this 12th too, by the way. So William Byron 13th, Josh Berry 14th, Michael McDowell 15th. And, of course, bad race here for Martin Truex Jr. That's the only one I'm going to talk about because this video is long enough. Another JGR engine goes up, so that's got to be something that worries Toyota going into the future. And here you see the regular season points. Kyle Larson still in the lead. Tyler Reddick is just below him by 5 points. Then you got Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, and Ryan Blaney rounding out your top 5. Austin Dillon, as I mentioned, 26th in points, so he is above the 30th place for all the people that wanted to talk about the old rule about you had to be above 30th. And here is your cut line. It doesn't get much tighter than this. 3 points separate 12th from 14th. Bubba Wallace, last man in as it stands right now. Chris Buescher and Ross Chastain with the Austin Dillon win are the drivers that got knocked out of the playoffs as it stands right now, but 3 races to go. Anything can happen. That is not much of a margin at all. And also, all these guys might still be in trouble because somebody else could win. And Ty Gibbs, he doesn't have a huge advantage over there in 13th place either. All right, that's all I got for you on this one. Do you think NASCAR, with the ratings and all the mojo and momentum that everybody's talking about here with this one, do you think they're going to change the point standings? I've seen it both ways. A lot of people talk about NASCAR is going to change the point standings because this exposed them, but then a lot of people are making the counter argument that, hey, NASCAR has never been talked about this much since the Ross Chastain deal, so NASCAR is loving every minute of this. They got what they want. There's 2 ends. Like I said, everything in this video, there's two sides to it, and neither side is necessarily wrong. Just a lot of good questions, a lot of good conversation to be had. So let me know down in the comments what you think about it. I'll try to get to as many of them as I can. If you want to help out the channel, the merch, the link is in the description. And hope you have a good Monday. Other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.